Great new day to all my self-care family and friends. Welcome back to the Room to Breathe podcast. I am your host, Life Coach 614, and I am so happy that you made space to be here with us today. Now, before we get into today's episode, do me a quick favor. If you're feeling our vibes, go ahead and show us some love. You can do so by tapping the screen, liking, commenting, but most importantly, share this out with someone who may need a little healing energy today. And if this is your first time here or you haven't done so already, be sure to hit the follow button. Subscribe to our channel so that way you're tapped in when a new episode drops. I also want to personally invite you to check out our digital home at theselfcareclub.org, where you'll find everything from affirmative apparel to motivational merch and free resources to nourish your growth and to remind you that you're supported every step of the way. Just know that you don't have to do this alone. We are healing in community, growing one breath, one moment, one day at a time. So today, give yourself permission to pause, to reflect, and to make space for peace, for growth, and most importantly, for you. And remember, if anything in today's episode hits home, drop a green heart in the chat. It is our community's way of saying, I am healing, I am growing, and I am showing up for me. Now, let's get ready to breathe, reflect, and grow together. Family, I've been learning a lesson lately, and it's about the circles that we move in and how they shape our growth. And I'm referring to like the people that we spend our time with, the energy that we allow into our lives, right? Because it can either lift us, inspire us, and, challenge us to keep stepping forward into our purpose, or it can quietly hold us back without us even realizing it. I think that sometimes people who slow us down, they're not doing it out of malice. They don't necessarily mean to or intend to, because in all actuality, they love us, they care about us, but they themselves are just stuck, be it emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. And if we're not careful, their stillness can become our standstill. Welcome in, Chris. Think about it. Have you ever had someone in your life who just thrived off of chaos? Right? It's like they cling to old pain and it's like they refuse to grow. Yet somehow they expect you to stay the same, right? Or maybe they're just comfortable with excuses and blame and stagnation. And when you're moving forward, their discomfort makes you start to doubt yourself. So today's episode is just going to be about recognizing that energy and learning how to protect your growth without guilt or resentment. See, growth exposes stillness. Healing exposes stillness. Purpose exposes stillness. And, navigating that reality with love and awareness and intention is one of the most important parts of self-care, self-love, and stepping fully into your power. Thank you, that girl. I appreciate you. So again, today we're just going to explore why some people hold us back, how to see it clearly, and how to move forward boldly while maintaining your peace. And I promise you, by the end of this episode, you are going to feel more empowered to set those boundaries that your spirit has been screaming for. Now, I know that you have probably heard the saying, be mindful of the company that you keep, right? Because energy is contagious. I see you, sis, Man Cry in the Car podcast. So we've all heard that saying, right? Be mindful of the company you keep. Watch the company that you keep, right? Because energy is contagious. And yes, that's real. Okay? That's real. But let me stretch that a little bit further. Some people will keep you still, not because they hate you, not because they're trying to sabotage you, but because they themselves are still. And when I say still, I'm talking more than just, being lazy or unmotivated. I'm talking about emotionally stuck, mentally stuck, spiritually stuck, right? People who haven't done the work to face their own fear, their own pain, and their own past. And here's the kicker. They might not even recognize it themselves, but their energy, oh, honey, their energy can seep into your life quietly, sometimes loudly, but ultimately what it does is slows you down. And again, y'all know me. I'm always honest with you. I've been there. I've had friends, partners, even family members who have just simply expected me to remain the same over the years. Not because they wanted to hurt me, but because my growth reflected their stagnation. Welcome in, Roscoe. Right? Me moving forward showed them that they were still stuck, standing still. And let me tell you, listen, my growth exposed their stillness. When you start moving forward, when you start healing, when you start stepping fully into your purpose, people notice, right? And sometimes those same people, they get uncomfortable. And that discomfort can show up in the quietest of ways. You know, sometimes it's a look that they give, a comment that they make, a text, right? Or even just a slight shift of energy. But it's there. You can't miss it. Your glow makes people squint, but that's not on you. That's on them. So let me ask you something. I want you to really look at your life and look at, who's in your circle, stirring your growth, cheering your wins, challenging you to do better, right? Those are the keepers. But I also want you to look at who's quietly holding you back. Just subtle enough that you almost don't notice them, but heavy enough to weigh in on your spirit. Welcome in, Shonda. Thank you for the follow. And, the thing that we have to understand, family, is that not everyone in your circle is supposed to walk with you through the fire. Some people are just there to watch you burn. And that is on us to know the difference, to discern the difference. Yeah, it be your own family sometimes, you're right. But again, your growth is going to make people uncomfortable. Your healing is going to make people uncomfortable. And guess what? Your purpose is going to make people uncomfortable. That's okay. That doesn't mean that you shrink. That doesn't mean that you press pause. That doesn't mean that you lower your light. Don't dim yourself to make someone else feel comfortable in their darkness. That's not on you. So again, it's time we start to take a hard look at our circles. We need to start to identify who's helping us rise and who's subtly, or maybe not so subtly, right, keeping us still. And I want you to hold that reflection lightly but firmly, because sometimes protecting your peace means creating space. And we know that space is not about rejection. It is simply about freedom. It's about protecting our peace, right? The peace that we fought so hard to have. And so I want you guys to, again, take a moment with me right now in your head. Maybe if you have the opportunity, grab a pen, a paper. And I want you to really think about your circle. Like I said, think about who's been uplifting you lately. Who's been showing up for you in ways that makes your spirit feel lighter? Who has been there with you, cheering and rooting for you, celebrating your wins like they're their own? Who's challenging you to step bigger, to reach higher, to heal deeper? Right? We all have at least someone who is, maybe even it's a person who just recently showed up in your life unexpectedly, and they've been rooting for you from the first encounter that you had with them. They've been rooting for you, right? That's our win list. But now we got to flip the script. We got to flip the coin. Can't have the light without the dark, y'all. Thank you. So when we flip the coin, I want you to think about who's been draining you. And be real, y'all. This ain't about being mean, but it is about us protecting our peace. Thank you so much, Beauty. I appreciate you. Right? Think about who's been draining you. Who makes you second guess your choices, your growth, your worth. Welcome, Indy. Who weighs on your energy so much that even on your best days, you feel exhausted when you're around them? Who's holding you back without you even realizing it? And when I say who, sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's the relationship, sometimes it's our job. Hell, sometimes it's social media, right? That toxic energy, every time you log into the app, you feel drained. Every time you attend a certain event or a certain function, you feel drained. And see, here's the truth. Some people are unaware of the energy that they bring into your life, right? Not everybody's accountable. Not everybody is self-aware. Welcome in, Queen. Right? So some people simply are just unaware of the energy that they are putting out, right? They're living in their pain, their fear, their comfort zone. And so sometimes unconsciously, they expect you to adjust your life, your growth, your pace to match theirs. And again, I'll say not everybody in your circle is meant to rise with you. Some people are only meant to reveal the things that you actually need to release. And you know what? That's okay, right? That's not failure on our part. It's not betrayal. It's just a reflection of their journey and a reminder of ours. And you are allowed unapologetically to choose movement over stagnation. To unapologetically choose healing over hurt, freedom over, what's familiar. Sometimes the people who have been around us the longest feel like home, but they're not actually the ones that help us grow. That's not judgment, right? That's reality. Welcome in, brother. I see you. Right? That's the reality of it. And as we know, just like every other part of healing, right? Growth is uncomfortable, even for the people closest to us. And even if I were to look at this from a spiritual aspect, right? Sometimes God allows people to stay still in your life, not to punish you, not to isolate you, but to teach you the difference between motion and stagnation. To teach you the difference between purpose and distraction. Sometimes their pause is simply a mirror showing you of where you need to move. Sometimes their hesitation lights the path that is going to push you to your breakthrough. And I keep saying it, not everyone can go where you're going. Not everyone is ready for the calling that is on your life. But that's okay. You don't have to carry the weight of someone else's unpreparedness, right? I've been preparing for this my whole life. I have to continue to walk in my purpose, right? So I can't allow someone else's pace to define mine. And your path will always expose who's ready to walk with you and who isn't. That's not rejection. It is a revelation. And so I want you guys to really hear me. Honoring your growth sometimes means creating space. It means setting boundaries. It means confidently and unapologetically and very obediently stepping fully into your purpose, even if that makes other people uncomfortable. You're not being petty. You're not being selfish. You're being intentional, right? You're being obedient. You're protecting the energy that is fueling your life, your healing, and your calling. So again, think about that circle, right? Think about who belongs in your life right now because they're helping you grow. They are elevating you. They are lifting you up. And who, as much as you love them, right, might need to step back so you can fully step into your destiny. Right? Sometimes we just have to put things down. We hope to revisit it at a later date, right? But sometimes we just have to let people go. We have to let situations go. And you can love someone and still let them go. It's not because they don't matter, but it's because you do matter. You have to prioritize you. You have to put yourself first. And, ultimately, this is the heart of what self-care is, family, right? Recognizing who and what nourishes your spirit and what depletes it. Recognizing that sometimes protecting your peace is the highest form of love that you can offer. And it's what you offer to yourself and to them. And that brings me to something that I've been working on. Y'all know I like to write. Okay. And so I've been working on this spoken word piece because, like I said, this is the season where I'm in. Just because I'm a life coach doesn't mean that life ain't lifing for me, right? Welcome in, Kale. Because life is still lifing for me, and I'm still going through the same mess and the same drama that you guys go through. And so here lately, I have been discerning. Thank you so much. I have been discerning, the circles that I move in and the company that I keep, right? And so, in this process and in me journaling, I have been working on this spoken word piece that I think that really dives directly into this topic. In fact, I kind of built today's conversation around it. And so I wrote this for anyone who's ever felt weighed down by someone else's stagnation. Anyone who's tried to move forward while, the people around them stay rooted in the same old patterns, the same old pain, the same old excuses, right? And, for me, this is real life. This is your life being reflected back to you. This is the truth about what growth is, about healing, and about stepping into your purpose while intentionally choosing to leave some other people behind. So yeah, this piece that I wrote is just for anybody who's ever been told that you've changed, or you're moving too fast, or why can't you just stay the same? This is going to be for anybody who's ever felt guilty for outgrowing people, for setting boundaries, for refusing to pause their progress to accommodate somebody else's fear. So I want you guys to feel this in your spirit. Let it sink in. Let it remind you that movement is necessary, that your healing is necessary, that your freedom is necessary. And sometimes your growth will shine a light on the stillness of those around you. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, guys. So this is my spoken word piece called Still. Be mindful of the company you keep, because not everybody is moving and not everybody wants to move. Some people will keep you still simply because they are. Still sitting in the same places, still nursing the same wounds, still clinging to the same excuses, still stuck, still broke. Not because opportunity never came their way, but because fear robbed them of their courage. Still procrastinating, still toxic, still bitter about the things that happened years ago, and still blaming everybody else for where life took them. Still gossiping because talking about somebody else is easier than looking in the mirror. Still jealous because your growth reminds them of their stillness. Still living in the past, rewinding old pain like it's their favorite song. still avoiding accountability, still making excuses, still settling for less because healing feels too heavy and wholeness feels too far away, still circling the same cycles, still playing small, still comfortable in chaos, still rejecting growth. And listen, this is not about judging because I know what it feels like to be still. See, I've been there, still heartbroken, still questioning my worth, still trying to smile while my soul is screaming for air. But here's the difference. I wasn't trying to stay there. I was trying to move. And that's where the line gets drawn. Because those who are working through their stillness, and there are those who've built a home there. Some people are still insecure, still faithless, still ignoring their healing, still choosing drama over peace, still comparing themselves to others, still chasing validation, still lying to themselves, still hiding their pain behind filters and fake smiles, still waiting on somebody else to save them, still running from their calling, still ignoring red flags that God put neon lights on. Still entertaining toxic relationships, still repeating family patterns, still holding grudges that keep their hands too full to receive their blessings. Still self-sabotaging, still afraid of success and scared of failure. Still skipping the inner work because it's easier to point fingers than to face the mirror. Still numb instead of healing. Still seeking revenge instead of peace, still clinging to dead situations, still resisting change, and still worried about what other people think. They are still seeking love in the wrong places, still hustling for worthiness, still spiritually asleep, still wearing masks just to be accepted, still tolerating disrespect, still choosing comfort over calling, still surviving instead of thriving. Still too afraid to rest, still forgetting their own power. And family, here's the hard truth. If you're not careful, their stillness will spill over into your spirit. Their pause can become your prison. Their delay can become your destiny. Their comfort zone will become your cage. So hear me when I say that God did not call you to stay still in your purpose. Some people are still because they refuse to heal. But you have been called to grow, to stretch, to break cycles, to breathe deeper than the pain that you came from. So let this remind you that you don't owe anybody your stillness. You don't have to shrink to keep them comfortable. You don't have to sit in the same spot just because they are scared to move. Because sometimes loving yourself means letting them go. And sometimes the best way to show gratitude for the life that you've been given is to keep moving, even if they're still. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And I think that, sometimes we just need to be reminded that stillness doesn't have to be our story, right? Like, we just need that reminder, right? That we don't have to shrink or pause our progress to make somebody else comfortable. Think about how many times you've held yourself back because someone else wasn't ready to see you grow. How many times have you stayed small just because you didn't want to make waves or rock the boat in your relationships, your friendships, your family, at work, right? Your growth will always reveal who's ready for it and who's not. Again, that's not rejection. That's the revelation. So again, family, remember, not everybody who's in your circle is meant to walk with you through the fire. Some people are simply here to watch you burn, or to keep you close so that, you can't fully step into your light. And so when you recognize that, you have a choice. Do you stay weighed down by someone else? Or do you step forward unapologetically into your movement, your healing, your freedom? As I've said before, sometimes the most loving thing that you can do for yourself and for them is to step fully into what you've been called to do. And when I tell you, when I say creating space, it doesn't mean that you stop loving. I'm not asking you to be cold and cruel, right? It doesn't mean that you stop caring. It doesn't mean that you just cut people off out of anger. That's not what boundaries are about. It just simply means that you're protecting your energy, your peace, and your purpose. And I promise you, it is so worth it. Right? It's the highest form of self-care. So again, it's probably like the third time I've asked today. Take a moment. Look at your circle. Who in your life is helping you rise? Who is cheering you on? Who is there with you, celebrating your wins, supporting your dreams, pushing you, encouraging you, inspiring you to be better? I better be on some of y'all's list. I'm just saying. But now I also want you to look at who's quietly and possibly unconsciously holding you back. I want you to remember that you can love somebody and still let them go. Again, it's not because they don't matter, but it's because you do matter. And, I think that's where the phrase comes in. If you love someone, you set them free. If they come back to you, then it's meant to be, right? So if I let you go because I need to spread my wings, hey, Mr. T. If I let you go because I need to spread my wings and I feel like you're holding me down, then I'm going to just, hope and pray that, hey, what if it's meant to be, they'll come back around. They'll spin the block at some point. They'll catch up. Our paths will cross again. And if not, it's okay. Right? It's okay. This work is the work of discernment. When you really think about that, it's the work of reflection. It's the work of growth. And yes, sometimes it's uncomfortable, but that's only because we've been taught that loyalty equals sacrifice, right? And that sacrifice is oftentimes our own peace, our own growth, our own purpose. I don't know. I hope that this episode is just a reminder for you that your light is non-negotiable, that your healing is not optional, that your purpose is not up for debate. And when you really allow yourself to move boldly, to grow without apology, and to step fully into the calling that is on your life, you will begin to attract people who are ready to rise with you. And you will have the strength and the courage to release the ones who are not. Your circles should expand your energy, not drain it. So you have to be willing to protect your peace like your life depends on it. Because if you think about it, it does. And you have to really, truly be mindful that every single encounter with another person, there's an energy being exchanged, right? And when I say energy, I'm not just talking about, the vibe of the room or the friendship, but I'm talking about like the spiritual energy that we let into our lives. Think about it like this. God doesn't just call us to grow. He calls us to grow in the right environment, right? He wants us planted somewhere where we can thrive, somewhere where the soil feeds us, where the water nourishes us. He wants streams of life, not stagnant waters. And so I can remember, a season of my life where I was just working so hard to heal. It was the beginning of my journey and me intentionally healing, and growing, right? But I was still surrounded by people who couldn't or wouldn't move forward themselves. They just wanted to keep repeating the same situations, the same relationships, the same conversations over and over again. And even though I was doing the work on my end, working on my heart, my mind, and my spirit, I felt stuck. And it wasn't because I wasn't putting in the effort. It was because the energy around me was holding me down. Think about a tree for a moment, right? If it's planted by fresh water, right? If its roots are healthy or, planted in a healthy soil, it naturally grows tall, right? It naturally bears fruit and it can weather the storm. But if that same tree is planted near stagnant water or soil that is too hard, too dry, too toxic, it struggles. It may still grow, but it struggles, right? It can't thrive. It can barely survive. That's exactly how it is with us. Our growth, our healing, our purpose is all connected to the energy and the environment that you allow yourself to live in. And, I've seen this in real life with people that I love. I had a friend that I grew up with, that was my ride or die. But as we got older, I started, stepping into my purpose, setting my boundaries, and really intentionally prioritizing my healing. And my friend just didn't seem like, she was ready to do the same work. And, from where I was seated, it looked like she was just comfortable kind of staying stuck in old patterns, old pain, old excuses. And so every single time I tried to share my growth, she would, I think oftentimes unintentionally minimize it, shift things back to her, or somehow trying to slow me down, like I said, without even her realizing. And so I had to make a choice. Do I stay and shrink myself to make her comfortable and hold on to this relationship? Or do I step fully into the life that I'm being called to live? And if you don't know, I chose movement. I chose growth. I chose freedom. And when I tell you, that was probably one of the most hardest decisions that I've made in my life, but it was also one of the most freeing decisions that I've ever made. And it is not that I don't love her. We are still, we still communicate. It's not the same, but I'm okay with that now. Right? Because again, I know that not everyone is meant to go with me. So yeah, I chose movement. And, when I think back again to the spiritual side of things, I know that God will allow us, allow people to stay still in our lives just so we can see the difference in motion and stagnation. Like I said, purpose and distraction. So that's, my reminder to you that not everybody can walk with you in this place that God is taking you. Not everyone is ready for the calling that is on your life, and that's okay, because your purpose is yours. It's not anyone else's responsibility to support it if they're not ready. Not everyone is meant to rise with you. Some people are just there to show you who you're meant to become. And so the challenge is recognizing that without guilt. Understanding that loving people doesn't mean letting them stop your growth. It doesn't mean carrying their weight or slowing down your healing. Sometimes the most spiritual, most loving thing that you can do is to step fully into the calling that is over your life and allow them to find their own path. Thank you. So yeah, maybe you've got a friend who constantly complains about life, right? But they've never taken any steps to change it. Or maybe you have a family member who criticizes your decisions, but hasn't done the work to even heal their own wounds. I want you to understand that they are not your responsibility. Your peace is your responsibility. And remember that God wants you thriving, rooted in the streams of life, producing fruit in the season. And your roots don't grow in stagnant water. So you have to protect your energy and surround yourself with life. And when you do that, you will sit back and you will watch your season of fruitfulness. God wants you planted where you can thrive. He wants your life to bear fruit. He wants your leaves to stay green even in the storm. And that starts with being intentional about who and what you let into your energy. She said, come on, fruit. Come on, fruit. So yeah, now that we've unpacked the energy that we allow, the stillness that we may encounter, and, the spiritual truth of, that God wants us rooted in life-giving streams, let's just take a moment to center on moving forward, right? See, all this reflection, all this awareness is just about noticing what's not working. Thank you, Janelle. It's just about noticing what's not working, right? It's about choosing what will work for you. It's about making the decisions to step boldly into your growth, even when the people around you aren't ready. Spark Motive, welcome in. And we do so even if it scares us, right? Because growth is rarely comfortable. Healing is rarely easy. Walking fully into your purpose will shake the very foundation of all of your relationships and all of the habits that we've leaned on. And that's okay. It is all a part of the process. Every single step forward, every single boundary that you set, every single choice that you make to intentionally protect your energy is an act of courage and self-love. So again, think about, that tree, right? When you're planting a tree, you don't pour water on weeds, right? You nurture the soil, you feed the roots, you make sure that that tree has space to grow tall. That's what choosing your circle and choosing your environment and choosing your own growth looks like. And every single small decision matters. Every single small boundary, every single small act of self-care, and yes, every yes to yourself over someone else's fear or resistance is a brick in the foundation of your life. Every single step that you take in alignment with your purpose makes room for your next blessing. Moving forward doesn't mean that you have to do it perfectly. It doesn't mean that you have to have everything figured out. It just simply means that you're choosing to show up for yourself consistently, right? Because consistency is key. I can't show up for me today and then just throw it all by the wayside tomorrow. That's not productive. So self-care is something that we get to do again and again and again. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when others doubt us, even when our old patterns start to whisper that we should shrink, we choose movement. We choose growth. We choose freedom. So, my little nudge that I want you to feel today is simply don't wait for someone else to change. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the storm to clear completely. Take the first step toward the life that you know that you were meant to live. Protect your peace. Cultivate your energy and trust that the right people, the right opportunities, the right moments will show up when you are aligned. Your forward movement is magnetic. The right people and the right opportunities that belong in your life will naturally fall in line when you honor your own path. So that takeaway that I want you to carry today is that your growth is your responsibility. Your purpose is your responsibility. Your peace is your responsibility. Your healing is your responsibility. No one else can do it for you. And no one else gets to slow down your movement unless you allow them to. Remember what we talked about with your circle, and that some people are meant to rise with you, and some people are just simply here to reveal lessons to you. Some people are meant to step aside, and that's okay. That's a part of life. It's a part of growth, and it's a part of walking boldly into your calling. You have permission to move forward, to set boundaries, to protect your energy, to nurture your growth, and to step fully into your purpose. You don't have to dim your light, shrink your spirit, or carry somebody else's weight of stagnation. You are allowed to thrive. You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to grow. And the life that you're walking towards is waiting for you. And it is filled with blessings and opportunities. Now, before we part ways, let me leave you all with a little extra love and light. As always, I encourage you to keep breathing through the highs, the lows, and every moment in between. I want you to keep choosing peace, even if it feels just out of reach. And know that here at the Self-Care Club, you will always be seen, always valued, and always supported. So don't be afraid to take up space, speak your truth, and make a little room for you to breathe. I love each and every one of you to life, and I am praying that your day is not just amazing, but aligned, intentional, and yes, on purpose, filled with purpose. This has been another Room to Breathe podcast, and I cannot wait to connect with you all again soon. Thank you.